Alright, time to take a look at the last game in the classic Sonic trilogy. Well, technically the last two games. See, Sonic Team was facing some deadline pressure and couldn't completely finish Sonic 3 before launch day. In fact, the Sonic 3 we got in 1994 was only about half of what they had planned. They were determined to get the rest of it out there though, so 6 months later they released Sonic and Knuckles. But it wasn't a normal Genesis cartridge, no, they invented a whole new type of card just to give us the finished product. Sonic and Knuckles utilized futuristic lock-on technology! Sonic and Knuckles was a standalone game, but if you locked Sonic 3 into it, you could play the full version of Sonic 3, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Or as some people call it, Sonic 3 Complete. Although, looking at the title screen, it looks to be called Sonic 3, Sonic the Hedgehog and Knuckles. Coming up with a proper name apparently wasn't very high on the to-do list. Okay, let's take a look at the game's story, and this time I'll actually be talking about it for more than 10 seconds. Sonic 3 and Knuckles takes place almost immediately after the events of Sonic 2. Dr. Robotnik managed to crash land the Death Egg on a magical island floating in the sky. And despite the Death Egg being the size of a small moon, the island somehow manages to remain intact. There he meets the island's only inhabitant, Knuckles the Echidna. Knuckles is the guardian of the floating island and the Master Emerald on it. The Master Emerald is a larger, more powerful version of a Chaos Emerald. Robotnik quickly hatches up a plan to trick Knuckles into trusting him so he can use the Master Emerald to repair the Death Egg. He tells Knuckles that Sonic and Tails are coming to steal the Emerald, which we all know is bogus, but Knuckles has been living alone on a floating rock all his life, so he wastes no time in knocking the Supersonic out of our hero, stealing his Chaos Emeralds, and hiding them all over the island. Ugh, so much for invincibility. Knuckles puts his superior knowledge of the island to good use by always staying one step ahead of Sonic and Tails, and blocking their paths. Eventually it all leads up to a fight with Knuckles that gets interrupted by Robotnik. In a shocking development, Robotnik turns on Knuckles and steals the Master Emerald from him. Knuckles lets Sonic and Tails into the Sky Sanctuary so they can get high enough to jump onto the Death Egg. Sonic defeats Robotnik, returns the Master Emerald to Knuckles, and flies off into the horizon. As far as controls go, everything is fundamentally the same as before. For Sonic at least. Tails and Knuckles, however, are another matter. Let's start with Sonic. The controls haven't changed from Sonic 2, but there are a few additions. The first being the Insta-Shield. After jumping, if you hit the jump button again, a small shield will form around Sonic for a fraction of a second. Since it doesn't stay around Sonic for longer than the blink of an eye, it's not very protective against enemy attacks. It is pretty helpful in certain boss fights though. The Insta-Shield isn't the only new shield though. This game also introduced the Thunder Shield, Bubble Shield, and Fire Shield. On top of protecting you from an enemy hit, these shields also make you immune to the respective environmental hazard, and they give Sonic a new ability. The Thunder Shield protects you from electrical attacks, draws rings to you like a magnet, and gives Sonic a double jump. The Bubble Shield keeps you from drowning and lets you bounce, and the Fire Shield gives you an air dash and protects you from fire and lava. Tails is playable again, and this time you can actually control his ability to fly. He gets tired eventually, but you can fly for a really long time, making platforming obstacles a total joke. Player 2 can take control of them again, but they're much more helpful in levels now since they can help Player 1 reach high places. The new guy on the block with the buff chest is Knuckles the Echidna. Unlike Sonic, he doesn't chuckle. He'd rather flex his muscles. Actually, scratch that, he does chuckle. A lot. He's a bit slower than Sonic and Tails and can't jump as high, but he can just plow through obstacles Sonic and Tails would have to spin dash through. He's also able to glide through the air with his dreadlocks, maybe? I don't know. And climb walls. With all these extra abilities, you'd think Knuckles' story would be the easiest to go through, right? Wrong! Knuckles' levels are slightly different than Sonic Tails', and his lower jump can really make things irksome. Like the spot in Marble Garden Zone, for instance. The logical thing to do here would be to just jump over this hill like all the others, but Knuckles doesn't have enough hops. He also can't climb up it for some reason. Okay, so they want me to go left. No problem. Okay, problem. It looks like I can get up these walls if I angle my jumps just right. Okay, this is malarkey. Turns out what they wanted you to do is to jump off this hill, glide left, cling to this wall, and then jump and glide again. Level design like that is pretty constant for Knuckles, and during some boss fights, Knuckles still ain't got enough hops. So you have to find a way to glide at them, but then that leaves you open to attacks. It's very obvious that the game was built with Sonic and Tails in mind, and they didn't do much to change it for Knuckles. Chaos Emeralds and special stages make a return, but entering them is once again different. Hidden across the zones are warp rings. All you have to do is seek them out and jump in to get to the special stages, which have gotten a massive overhaul. Now you have to navigate through a spherical 3D space and collect every blue sphere in sight. Just don't touch the red ones because those will warp you out of the stage. You're constantly moving and you run faster and faster as time goes on. and once you collect a blue sphere, it turns red. These special stages are by far the best of the classic Sonic series. They pose just the right amount of difficulty, and they're actually fun to go through. And the reward for collecting all 7 emeralds is once again worth it. Super Sonic makes a return, and he's just as fun to play as before. Not only that, but Knuckles also gets a super form. Not Tails though. He's not tall enough to ride the super coaster yet. Super Sonic is great, but this isn't even his final form. See, after you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds and clear the 6th zone, you can start hunting for the Super Emeralds. Despite them being called Super Emeralds, they grant Sonic and Knuckles hyper forms and... Don't look directly at Sonic. He might be kind of tough to look at, but Hypersonic is a fierce force to be reckoned with. On top of his normal super abilities, he can also breathe underwater, air dash, and the shockwave from the air dash kills every enemy on screen. Good God! Normally you'd need a Game Genie to get something this broken. Hyper Knuckles is also a powerhouse. He can climb faster, glide faster, and can cause earthquakes. But they both pale in comparison to Super Tails. Oddly enough, Tails needs Hyper Emeralds just to reach a super form. And when he does, a flock of golden birds encircle him. On top of flying faster and invincibility, Tails' birds will attack enemies automatically. Rather poetic how Tails was the butt monkey of the last game, but now he has his own little minions to command. Also new to this game is a save feature. In Sonic 1 and 2, you had to enter a level select code to jump into later zones upon startup, but now the game will remember where you left off. And thank goodness for that, because beating Sonic 3 and Knuckles in one sitting would be draining. There are a whopping 14 zones to go through, and each act feels much longer than the acts in Sonic 1 or 2. You're just running through one island, but it feels like you're traveling through an entire world. Jungles, ice caps, underwater highways, Angel Island has it all. Let's take a closer look at the zones. Angel Island Zone. One of the few first Sonic levels that isn't based off Green Hill Zone. I always loved the jungle theme. Swinging through trees, jumping past waterfalls, praying to God that you don't burn to death. Good times. HYDROCITY Zone. I can only guess that this is the sewage system of Angel Island, but it feels more akin to a high-speed water park. Yet another gem of a level. Marble Garden Zone. Well, that forward momentum was nice while it lasted. It introduces a few interesting design and enemy quirks, but this zone is really boring and slow for the most part. Carnival Night Zone. Remember in my last review I said that the Death Egg robot is infamous for being ridiculously difficult? Well, this zone houses something that has an even worse reputation. The Barrel. And it's not that bad. I was baffled when I started hearing that this obstacle halted hundreds of players' progression. Is it really that difficult to figure out? I don't know, maybe I just got lucky. Ice Cap Zone. One of the coolest levels in the game. Puns aside, this zone rocks. It looks great, you can zoom all over the place, and the music is catchy as hell. Launch Base Zone. I can't believe Knuckles let Robotnik tear up his precious island to build this. He's not really a great guardian, is he? Mushroom Hill Zone. Pushing aside the obvious Super Mario joke, I really love how the level changes color as you go through it. And on top of that, it's really fun to fling yourself through the air and speed through these loops. Flying Battery Zone. This level feels like a more expansive and more fun version of Wing Fortress Zone, and I love it for that. Also, it seems like Robotnik may have stepped out of the closet when building this mech, because this boss is a giant, flaming pea. Sandopolis Zone. Just like Hilltop Zone, this level gets way too much hate. It does overstay its welcome a bit, but it's still a fun zone in its own right. Lava Reef Zone. This level changes drastically as you progress through it, a detail I find extremely cool. Hidden Palace Zone. A very short zone that mainly just houses the final battle with Knuckles. And foreshadowing! Sky Sanctuary Zone. Bouncing off clouds, running ahead of falling platforms, and hello, that is one cool looking robot. Much more menacing than clunky old Silver Sonic. Given his awesome exterior, I'm sure he'll go on to make many more appearances throughout the series. Right? Right? Death Egg Zone. This is so cool, this is so cool, this is so cool! Doomsday Zone. The first of many final stages that are solely Super Sonic ramming his face into an enemy that's 10 times his size. That does it for the zones, but I have to give special attention for the bosses. They got incredibly creative with these. Nearly every boss and mini-boss is memorable and fun to take down. The music for this game is also amazing. Pretty much every track is head-bopping goodness. And each act also got its own mix of the overall zone theme. How cool is that? Keep in mind that cartridge space was very limited back in the day. And if that isn't even enough to convince you to check out this game's score, Michael Jackson worked on Sonic 3's composition. Listen closely, I'm fairly certain this is his voice in the launch base zone. I absolutely love this game, and it's easily my favorite classic Sonic title. But it's also easily the glitchiest classic Sonic title. I've had tons of issues playing this game over the years on both the Genesis cart and the Sonic Mega Collection version. Save files getting scrambled, boss fights not loading, whatever this is. And it's not just major stuff either, little graphical quirks crop up too. For instance, for all of Knuckles' boss fights, Robotnik got replaced with an egg robo because his story takes place after Sonic and Tails'. But when I died to the Mushroom Hill boss and came back to fight it again, Robotnik was in the cockpit. My guess is that this is a result of the deadline pressures they were facing. But to be fair, I usually only encounter a major glitch once every 1 or 2 playthroughs. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the definitive classic Sonic experience. While it's slightly buggier than its predecessors and I don't really like playing as Knuckles, this is still the game I would recommend to someone looking to experience classic Sonic for the first time. The levels are fun, memorable, and expansive, and it poses just the right amount of challenge. While Sonic 1 and 2 had fluctuating difficulty, Sonic 3 and Knuckles has near perfect pacing. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day.